Good morning, welcome back to my channel. It is Saturday the 2nd of August 2025 and it's about 8:30 a.m. For the basket this week it's sushi rice and my able little assistant here at the side of me is showing it to you. For shell, it's terramol shell. You're familiar with her, aren't you? Well, she's got her jewels on today and she's showing off the sushi rice. And if anybody didn't know this was a madhouse, you do now. We have moles everywhere. I think that's because I remind Joe of a mole because I'm short and blind. It's become a bit of a joke between us, hasn't it? Mm. Right, so word of affirmation this week is smiles. Now smiles is, as I've learned this week, the name of the Slimming World charity. Now, Slimming World Charity raises a lot of money for a lot of good causes. I'm talking in the millions over the years. And it stands for Slimmers Making It a Little Easier for Someone. Yeah. I know over the years, they've done a lot with Cancer Research UK, they've done a lot for children, Great Ormond Street, I think the NSPCC, lots and lots of different charities. Now, of course, think about it logically, we, the members, are the ones who do a lot of that work in the big clothes throw and raising money in different ways if we feel inclined. But head office have a proper charity section and I think they raise a lot of money through things like excuse me, the Woman of the Year competition and the Man of the Year competition and all the different big things they do. And for anybody who doesn't realise, it should be Woman of the Year around now. We're doing it at my group this week. We voted last week and we have a taster and a Woman of the Year final this week, this coming Tuesday. I know a lot of the people I speak to around Slimming World, different meetings up and down the country, don't seem to do very much about these competitions now. And I'm a bit on the fence because the word competition rankles with me a bit. Slimming World should never be a competition. We're all on an individual, unique journey. We're not competitive. I don't compete with the lady sitting next to me or across the room in how much I lose this week. And yet that seems to come out in the Slimmer of the Week basket, the Slimmer of the Month, the Woman of the Year, the icons, the Man of the Year, whatever, whatever. So, in a lot of ways, is that maybe a little outdated, or should we be celebrating these things? I suppose it's very good promotion for Slimming World, it's good in the magazines and it's good advertising. But is anybody else doing not Slimmer of the Week, is anyone, tongue-tied a bit early, is anybody else doing Woman of the Year around now? I'd be interested to know because some channels may be mentioning it. I don't have time to watch every slimming channel, but I've noticed that some people aren't mentioning it. It may be just that they think it's not worthy of a mention. Okay, this week I took a couple of evenings to read Margaret's book, Margaret's autobiography, which is called Wild Women Do and They Don't Regret It. Came out in 2019 and I've actually got it on Audible, which I think is probably the best way to read it because Margaret reads it. I think, and I'll be honest with you, I have been a book reader, a paper book reader, because I used to be fully sighted. If I had to read it in paper form, I'd have got a bit, not lost in the middle, not bored in the middle, but maybe not so interested in the middle, because my interest is in Slimming World. This was Margaret's autobiography, so of course all her life is in it. Her marriages, her children, medical stuff, things about different companies that she's owned over the years, and there were quite a few. She's not been 100% Slimming World, definitely an entrepreneur, definitely good at building businesses, definitely good at letting go of businesses when the time or things didn't work out well. Smart woman, very, very, very good delegator. One of the things I noticed around Slimming World was she was so young when she started it. I think about 19 and then into her early 20s building the business from nothing. Not a lot of competition back then because you only had Slimming magazine and probably Silhouette. But she had this vision and she built this company, and it still works today. But she, I think, had a lot of wisdom because she surrounded herself with older people. Not all women, some men. The people that she employed, she had the wisdom to bring in older people, I'm probably thinking 30s, 40s, 50s, with life experience. And she was not a lady who needed to hold on to everything and do it herself. Although there is an element of that about her, she's very much an ideas person, but she was an excellent delegator. Now, looking back at the history of Slimming World, and I made a little list for Joe of points I didn't want to miss. So is the first one J&M Slimming, Joe?
No, it's the red and green plan.
Right, well, I'll turn it around and I'll start with J&M Slimming. When I first came across Slimming World in the early 70s, and I'm thinking it was about 74, because it's when I came to work in Nottingham, because I'm not a Nottingham girl. But when I came to work in Nottingham and I went to this slimming club with my friend who was getting married, it was J&M Slimming, which stood for Josie and Margaret. Now, I always thought it was Janet, it was Josie. Josie was Margaret's next door neighbour who went into partnership with her to build this diet plan. And it was called, or known as, the Sin a Day diet. But that was sin with an I, and that's where the original, I would say that's where the original sin came from. But I think that's got more to do with Adam and Eve. But the original sin that we had in our weight loss plan was sin with an I. And I think Margaret took a bit of stick over that because it wasn't the appropriate word to be relating to food. So eventually, you know, she looked into it, she thought about it, and she came up with sin with a Y, because when it blossomed from the J&M Slimming Club into Slimming World, the sin element of it became what covered the treats to keep us on plan, but it also fulfilled the synergy between the healthy extras, speed and free, etc. So that's where it came from. Although originally it was supposed to represent the treats that we need to keep us interested in on plan. So the J&M thing evolved into Slimming World. The lady, Josie, went away or left, all friendly, and it became Margaret's company. That was in the 70s. At that time, and I'm probably jumping ahead on some of the comments I've left for Joe, but at that time it cost £1 to join Slimming World, and £0.50 was the initial price per week. Well, of course, we lost the £0.50 in 1971 when we went decimal, and that would have become the equivalent today of about 13 pence, 12.5p, but we don't have the half p anymore, 13p. What we're looking at today, I'm not sure what it costs to join. Is it about a tenner? And then £5.95 or £5.65 a week, depending on your age. So you've got the next heading as red and green.
Yeah.
Back in the day when we had red and green, the red was what is called the original diet. Members chose to call it the red diet, I suppose because of probably the colour of the book or something. But the red diet was the Slimming World plan. The green diet, the green plan, was alongside for vegetarians. We didn't hear a lot about vegans back then, so I suppose people quoted vegetarian more, but of course it would encompass both. But I don't think the plan really highlighted what vegans could eat, in that we weren't really big into soya and all these products that we have today. We probably had TVP back then, but anyway, it was never really intended to be, from reading the book, something that you did one day and then changed to the other the next day. I know when I was still going to Slimming World in those days, we were asked when we joined, you know, original or green, and I was vegetarian at the time, so I did green. But then after a few years, my grandma died, I started to eat meat again, and so then I was using the original. But the funny thing was, as we do, we can't just accept something for what it is. We have to mess around with it. So people would say, well, I'll do a week on red. Then they'll do a week on green. And then it was like, oh, I'm sick of jacket potatoes and Heinz macaroni cheese, let me back at the red. And then it was, oh, I'm bored with meat, let me back. But then it got worse than that. It was, I'll do a day on red and then a day on green. And then I remember in groups it getting so extreme that people would do a morning on red, so breakfast on red, and lunch and dinner on green, or vice versa. So we always have to push the boundaries a bit as slimmers. But yeah, it was original and green, not red and green. That's what members made it into. I found that really interesting. What's my next point, Joe?
Early groups, teachers and classes, prices to join.
This was fascinating. The very early groups, starting from day one, were run by teachers and were called classes. So it's evolved into members and consultants, thank God. Because teachers and classes in some ways is a bit like what it's starting to feel like today. You know, the lady at the front with a bit of paper. That feels like teacher. And we're in the class because we have to put a hand up or whatever. But it just shows you, I mean, back then we didn't use these words. Consultant was something you went to see at the hospital. If your doctor couldn't help you, he'd refer you to a consultant because that consultant had expertise. And personally, I think that every consultant who stands in front of a group of members has to keep their expertise up to date, because that is what will keep us all on food optimising. If I'm in group and I say something that's, wrong, like I give a bit of wrong information, and I'm saying, oh yes, as a healthy extra B you can have a mince pie at Christmas, my consultant needs to have at her fingertips the knowledge to say, no you can't, that's not a healthy extra B. I mean, that's an extreme way of putting it, but there are often ways of needing to be on top of little things that people are getting wrong, because the only way we are going to lose weight on this plan in the long term and keep it off is if we learn how to food optimise and do it well, because you only have to miss it by an inch or two and you start gaining half a pound instead of losing half a pound. It's quite finely tuned. And one of the things I know I've got further down the list, and it's mentioned in the book, 10 years ago, when they came up with the Slimming World frozen meals at Iceland, Margaret brought in, top chefs, a top company to help provide the meals and everything. It was all organised to be done through Iceland alone, and that's okay. But the one thing I wasn't 100% aware of, and I've been around Slimming World a long time, was that she expected us to put 1/3 of a plate of speed food with those meals. I've always been the one who's gone something like, oh, looking at the tagliatelle, it's got half a dozen cherry tomatoes and it's got a bit of spinach and a tiny bit of mushroom in it. That's because that's speed. No, we're supposed to put 1/3 of speed with the meal. And that might make the meal seem a bit big for some people. I'm not going to say it does for me because I like big meals. But if you want it to work to the best of its ability and to the best of what it was designed to do, stick some speed on your plate. Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower. Just to help yourself, not to help anybody else. We've all got to help ourselves. Can I have another heading?
The most important thing being the members.
Yeah, this was fascinating in the book. Now, I actually took a clip, I recorded this clip onto my phone to remind myself when I'm feeling like I don't matter, that I do matter. But Margaret states categorically in the book, the most important thing is the members. And I can't play it for you from my phone because I'm not allowed to reproduce any part of the book in print, on audio, or in any other way. If we didn't have members, we'd be like any other organisation that is built on its members. If we didn't have members, we wouldn't have a company. I'm talking about members as in bums on seats. I'm talking about members as in online members. It's a much bigger thing than I think I even realised, because looking at it today in 2025, it's a massive corporation. But the bottom of that pyramid, well, turn it upside down and put the point at the bottom. It's us. We are what keeps that corporation going. And I can see now they need to keep building on it. They need to keep adding members. Also, I think they need to be a bit careful, because don't alienate the older members, because there's more of us than the younger ones. At the moment, we may come to a place in future where there are more younger members online, following it on their tablets, following it on their phones, on their laptops, whatever. But at the moment, I think a large part of the business is made up from us, let's say, over 40s. Yeah, any other points there, Joe?
Frozen meals.
Yeah, I've just done that.
Oh, sorry. Margaret took Slimming World back.
Yeah, Margaret founded Slimming World in 1969 in partnership with Josie. After a few years, she formed a partnership with another lady whose first name I forget, could have been Eileen, but I forget. And this lady bought into the business for about $2,500, I think, which seems like a snip now, doesn't it? But as the years went on, their partnership kind of not moved apart, but took slightly different directions. And another thing they founded was a kitchen and bathroom company in Mansfield, which was supposedly at the time, I mean, I don't remember because I wasn't looking for a kitchen or a bathroom back then, but it did well. It did really well for a while. And then things like the miners' strike happened, which really hit Nottinghamshire big time. I remember that very well. I remember driving down certain roads past Mansfield late at night, coming back from clubbing and getting stopped by the police, and they would search our car to see if we had any miners hidden in the boot. I don't know, it just seems mad now. But at that time, that side of her business took a big knock because of the miners' strike. But prior to that, they had decided that rather than having two women running two businesses, they would diversify, and one of them would run the kitchen and the design business, which was a strength that Margaret had, and the other one would run Slimming World. And Margaret gave the other lady the choice, and she chose Slimming World. Margaret took over the design business, that was all going great, but Slimming World was struggling in the mid-80s. And to cut a long story short, in about 1986, Margaret bought it back for £50,000, which still seems like a drop in the ocean compared to what it is today. But she did the right thing. She didn't try to shortchange the lady. She paid her a good price, so there was goodwill between them. From 1986 going into 1987, Margaret rebuilt the business. She brought it up to date and she worked really hard and she rebuilt the business. And that is the Slimming World we know today. And it's gone from strength to strength. I'm not going to talk about where it's at today because I think it is undergoing changes, and change is going to be painful for them as well as us. And they've got a toe in the water, and they might get it right, they might get it wrong. But according to Slimming World head office, and I have spoken to them, Margaret was fully aware of all these changes. It was all planned before she passed away, because that was something I was a bit concerned about. Any more points?
No, that's it for Margaret.
Well, yeah, one other interesting point is, I've always wondered, where the name Miles Bramwell came from, because it's not a local, like, double-barrelled names are a bit posh around here in Nottinghamshire. But her first husband was Mr. Miles, Roy Miles. Her second husband was Mr. Bramwell. But when Margaret actually passed away, she was Mrs. Whittaker. And I know that by then her business name and her persona was built around Margaret Miles Bramwell. But I just wanted to acknowledge Tony Whittaker because he was a very good man. If you want to read the book, we can't find it on any bookshop, but I think it is sold through Slimming World. But if you want to read the book, you can find second-hand copies on eBay and such like for about a tenner. But it's interesting. It tells you about her children, it tells you about her businesses. Like, she was really into boats and she could captain a boat, and she did some good things. She wasn't just the girl who invented Slimming World. She did some really interesting things. She worked hard in Mallorca, she owned restaurants, she owned Solimar, which is a big estate which does weddings and corporate things. So a lot more strings to her bow, shall we say, than dieting. One fact I found really interesting, the highest weight she states for herself in the book is 16 stone. So she did know what it was like to be overweight. Right, second part of what I want to talk about today. Oh, a quick little story. I listened to a podcast called Double Tap, which is for the blind. And the guy on there, Stephen Scott, he's blind, and he decided he was going to try and clean up his diet. And he sat at his desk one day a fortnight ago and he was eating a banana. Two people sitting alongside him said, "You don't want to eat too many of those." Well, one said that. The other one said, "No, they're all sugar. You get fat eating those." How many times I've heard that in Slimming World? Don't eat bananas, they're not good for you. They're not speed, they're only free. Oh, they're only bananas. And he looked at them, as blind people look at you, like I'm looking at you, probably to the left or to the right. And he said, "Hang on a minute. For the last 2 years, every lunchtime, Monday to Friday, I've eaten KFC. And not one of you has said to me, 'Don't eat that, that'll make you fat, that's unhealthy.'" And I think a lot of this "don't eat that" comes from fear. Now, I don't know why anybody would fear a banana, but it's very normal, I suppose, to see a guy in his 40s eating a KFC. It may not be as normal today to see a guy in his 40s choosing to eat a banana. I just found that quite amusing or interesting. Right, now down to me. I'm not losing weight any as slow as I would like to do. When I've stated I want to lose 1.5 pounds a month, I'm losing it a bit faster than that. So I've kind of upped the amount of food I eat to the stage I said to Joe yesterday, "I've just eaten too much, I need to cut that back a bit." But then I thought about it this morning, I'm like, what the hell are you cutting it back for? It doesn't matter if you're really full. You're allowed to be. So Joe, I'm not cutting my lunch back today. Over the year, this year, January I lost 3.5 pounds, February 3.5 pounds, March 3.5 pounds, April 5 pounds, May 5.5 pounds, June 3 pounds, July 3.5 pounds, which means I have a weight loss this week of 1.5 pounds. Made me smile because I didn't do anything different this week than I'd done the week before when I got a maintain. So that's why I'm trying to look at my weight loss each month, because I don't ever want to feel disappointed with the maintain, because ultimately that's what I need to be able to do. I don't ever want to feel disappointed with a small gain, because everybody out there gets them. Everybody in group will get them. This weight loss is not linear. It just doesn't go like that.
Yeah, but be honest, on the times you've maintained or whatever, you've been like, "I want to cut down to cauliflower rice. I'm going to start eating cauliflower
because
rice."
that's a normal reaction. But have I done it?
No.
No, I haven't.
I talked you out of it.
I've thought about it,
Yeah.
but I haven't done it, have I? So when I came out of group the other week and I said I'm going to swap some of my rice out for cauliflower rice, and you rolled your eyes, did I do it?
No.
No. That's a good point though, Joe, because the initial thought is cut back, cut down, don't have a healthy extra B that's over 6 sins, where a lot of them these days are 7.5. Only have one healthy extra A. And I can honestly, hand on heart, say in the 14 months I've been doing Slimming World, I have done it 100%. 1 B, 2 A's, up to 15 sins, usually these days between 12 and 15. I drink coffee all day long. I love coffee. But when I've finished eating at tea time, I literally neck, in 2 drinks, a litre of tap water. You'll never see me drinking flavoured waters because they just blow me up like a balloon. I could drink flavoured water all day, and I've done it, Joe will testify to this. And I can drink bottle after bottle after bottle of peach water, which is the one I like, and I don't wee. my body just, I don't know what it does with it. It must like it too much to let go of it. I'm not a person who drinks squash.
Sorry, you're 25.
Yeah. Anyway, just to say that I'm continuing, I'm aiming to lose 1.5 pounds a month. If I lose more, that's a bonus. But I've had a great week on plan, and I appreciate it. I appreciate this plan and all that Margaret created. See you next week.